Hey, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to Station Square. And yeah, we're just gonna be having a nice little chill type of podcast episode or whatever that I mainly do here because it's always off the cuff. So today we have somebody that God, I don't even know how long it's been, but we've been working for on a couple of different projects, and we've kind of been we see each other in like different workouts, but you probably might recognize her for her YouTube channel and just a lot of other like fan related projects and also just recently breaking into anime and video games. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Heidi Tapping.
Hi. Thanks for saying my name the way that I would say it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't know if anybody actually knows, but yeah, I go as Ederumoro on YouTube, and hi, I'm Heidi.
Yeah, it's all good. So, I guess to get this started, like, tell me a little bit about how 2024 has been like so far, just in general.
Okay, let's see. So I feel like as far as work goes, or life and everything.
I mean, I did say in general, like work, life, that stuff.
Okay. Man, well, it's been a year. I'm still alive. Yep, still working, and I don't know. I did get to announce some pretty cool projects this year, but I feel like there's always something new around the corner, and it's like, oh, I can't talk about that yet, and then it finally comes out, and you're like, oh yeah, I did that, and so that's fun. That's just how life is right now.
Yeah, and I think just recently, if correct me if I'm wrong, but you literally just announced something on Twitter today, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, there's a Kickstarter that comes out. I voice Sinclair, the mentor, the protagonist mentor type character, so that's always a fun one to voice. And in a Stratagem Lost. So yeah, it's up on my Twitter if you want to look check that out. Yep.
Yeah, I just want to wish you congrats.
Thank
Like,
you.
big one. Yeah, and like I said, you've been doing like video games, anime, and just pretty much a lot of different stuff in between, like animation. So,
Hmm.
I know that you've kind of been on a roll, which is always really good to,
Yeah.
keep the momentum going.
Yeah. So you said that I'm just breaking into video games and stuff. I primarily work in video games, and I've been working them in a while. It's just, a lot of them are like indie video games or mobile games that like some mobile games that don't even ask you. They're like, whatever, we'll just put your name, we'll just put this voice out there with, and they don't even credit you, but hey, you get paid for it. So I don't know. There's probably quite a few uncredited stuff that I've done that I get paid for, and that's just how life is. Like, oh, I guess I did do that job.
Yeah, it's kind of like it just comes and goes, you know what I'm saying? I mean, when it comes to working, like, because sometimes you can be like, oh my gosh, I'm doing so many different stuff, and it's, now what?
Well, yeah, it's like, ooh, yeah, well, we made it all the way to October.
Somehow.
It's, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's constant stress being a voice actor who's working full time. Because it's like, when's the next job gonna come? Like, am I gonna meet my budget for next month? And like, I do, but it always feels like a surprise when that happens because it's like, oh, cool, I can support myself, yay!
Yeah. I mean, for today, I was just literally looking over some stuff on those the pay to plays, which I know we've kind of been, you kind of hear like a lot of just sort of be wary about those, but it's just kind of like, every once in a while, you just kind of have to explore different avenues
Hmm.
instead of, because I know that getting auditions and, getting to do like the animations and doing the character work is fun and all, but it's a tough time, man. It really is
Yeah.
right now.
I would not condemn anybody for using a pay to play because as somebody who had used them, and I still get some like repeat clients from the people that
Yeah,
I
that is a good thing
garner from
though.
working on
Yeah.
them. Yeah, so it's a nice way to get like your feet wet and just expose yourself to a new client base, and yeah, you can get repeat clients afterward who don't have to contact you on the platform. Um, so I don't know. I feel like anybody who tells you no, don't do that, unless you're like selling your voice to AI, I feel like they're just kind of being
Gosh.
elitist.
Yeah, definitely just be careful.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, don't sell your voice to. I mean, okay, I won't say don't, but just know what you're getting into.
exactly, that's pretty much the bottom line. So I know there's been like a lot of AI talk, which I don't know if that's really something that I can. I mean, it's not that I don't feel comfortable talking about, why AI is like this overlooming presence in the business, but it's just kind of like there's already been like other discussions about it at this point. So what I kind of do want to discuss is like how did you get into? Nah, nah, I'm not. I'm also not gonna do that. But I think from when we've kind of met in the workout rooms and getting to work on like comics and a bunch of this other stuff, because I think you also had like experience with like doing theater or just when it comes to your acting background. So I guess if you'd like to discuss a little bit about it, then
Yeah, sure. I
yeah.
guess yeah. So yeah, I did theater in high school. I got the lead role in the first play I ever auditioned for. Whoa!
Hey, what was the play?
Cinderella wore combat boots.
Oh, that's
um,
interesting.
yeah, I also did the costumes for my high school play because I, yep, I sew. Not so much anymore, but I don't know. You get older and you're like, wow, I have like no closet space. Maybe I should stop making costumes. And then it's like really hard to let go of some of the stuff that you make because it's like I put so much love and effort into this, and nobody's gonna love it as much as I do, but it is taking up space, and I don't wear it. um, but anyway, yeah. So I did theater in high school, and then I continued on in college, where I also did some. I joined the film club there too. I have a minor in theater, whatever the hell that's worth. But yeah. um, and just before the pandemic, before everything shut down, I started. I was like, it'd be fun to take an acting class again, just for fun. And that was mostly to what do you call it? Mm, what's the word? Well, it was to get better into the mindset of a character because I was writing at the time, and I wanted to like combine those two things of getting into the head of the character and then writing the character. Um, but yeah, I took
Oh, I almost just had it, man. I know what you're talking about, and I can't think of it.
yeah, like the word exists. It's there, but
I think character psychology or something.
not quite. It's like
Yeah.
to it's like not quite compliment. It's in the same synonym as compliment, but to uh, I'm like, you're sprinkling flavor over something and you're like emphasizing it, not emphasizing it. You're, well, anyway. So yeah, that I did some community theater, and then I went back and I did musical theater, which I had hoped would be more like singing in character, but it was much more physical and learning how to be a part of an ensemble dancing in the background. And I'm like, I am not a dancer, man. So, but whatever. And then everything shut down. The pandemic happened. Um, so yeah, that's my non-voice acting background of acting.
Yeah, and you're also I don't want to say a novel. I mean, you've done like novels and you've done like, writing and all this stuff, which you've also listed on your website. So tell us about your little writing journey.
Okay. It hurts a lot. I have a lot of dead dreams that other people have told me that I'm just not good enough for. But you know what's great about writing is that you can write your own character demos, and it's a really nice skill when it comes to like creating marketing material like that, and also kind of beefing up your website and like, how would I put this in words? And it's not always like creative writing, it's also like sort of business writing too. Like, what can I say about this that'll make it more SEO attractive for the SEO on Google and stuff? So, yeah, just I feel like the creativity of being a writer and also a voice actor, they kind of go in hand because there are characters that you want to bring to life, and you're like, hey, I can use my voice for this, and then I can get some other people involved as well, and we can make like a little audio project out of it. Um, but yeah, as for the whole publishing industry, my heart has been stomped on over and over again, and I'm just like, it's not worth it anymore. I am finding success in voice acting, and I need to learn how to pivot and put certain dreams behind me because the world does not want me to have them.
Yeah, it's somebody who is also a writer. I can't tell you the amount of times where I would just come up with a draft and then after it's all finished, I'm just like, I don't really like it anymore.
And
And then it's yeah.
I mean, that shows your growth too, because it's like, oftentimes people get into writing because they just want to express themselves or have fun with it. And then they get to the end, they're like, I learned a lot from that whole process, and it's not great, but, now you can do better.
Yeah, of course, but it's like you finish up with a draft and it's like, you know what? I don't really like it, but what's something that I could do to make it better? You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah, well, when I still wrote books and stuff, I kind of I described it as shitting out the first draft. It's a piece of shit. But your job then is to like go through the pile of shit, and you're like, oh, there's a diamond here. Let me polish that up. Let me cut it so it sparkles. Um, so I find a lot of value in the revision process and turning the, the glob of crap and just shaping it up into something nice. what what you had originally imagined it would be, because that's what that whole process is for. I like it better than drafting, but you got to get the draft out.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, I mean, it's like if you're writing a book or if you're doing like, I don't know, audio drama or whatever you're concocting per se. It's kind of like, there's the because you go through the typical like, oh, who are these characters? What's the relationship? What's the setting? What happened? So, and then you have to craft up like what do they call it? Like a story Bible or something. So,
Yeah, I call
yeah,
it a story Bible.
story Bible. So
Fucking
when
fantastic.
yeah, when you start, yeah, oh yeah, when you start coming up with all this different stuff, and it's like, yeah, you know what? Even if you're in a drought in VO, like writing just all this crazy nonsense just kind of helps your mind just be like,
Hmm.
okay, so what is something that I could use for a character when you
Hmm.
know, voice act? You just never know. Inspiration can come from anywhere.
Going off of that, what you're saying about like where does this take place? What are the relationships between the characters? Like when you think of that as a writer, like when you've written a bunch of stories with a bunch of characters that you adore, and you're like, oh, I love this interaction between them, and you can picture it perfectly in your head as a writer. That is also a really useful skill to bring over to voice acting, because when you look at a script and they don't give you any context about what the relationships are between or they might give a little bit, but it's up to you to glean that information, and they just have plain text as the line that you're supposed to recite. They don't give like who they're talking to, they don't give the setting or anything like that. But if you could take the line and morph it using your writerly skills of like, where does this take place? Who are we talking to? What just happened before this that is eliciting this response that I am now saying? So like, yeah, just the creative skills that go back and forth from having a fully fleshed out story in your head from being a writer and then also performing it as an actor, and making it come to life that way to make it much more specific and much like heighten the stakes, the relationship, and every little thing that the everything that's in the subtext.
Yeah. Because like through the whole process of, I mean, for my process, I'll just briefly explain it. So I have like a set of characters, and then there's a scenario, and then I'll just come up with like the specific setting that they're in, and then I just kind of write by the seat of my pants because anything that just comes out is just kind of organically,
Mm-hmm.
and it just kind of, I think a lot of the best stuff that I kind of do, and doesn't just necessarily apply to writing. It could just also apply to voiceover, or just anything that you do where you do something and you have a specific idea, and then you just throw it out there, and then just see how it came out, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that also kind of technically it kind of segues into, VO and just everything else that we were just kind of discussing where, as a writer, but and then you also kind of have like a background of like theater of just, yeah, living in an imaginary, fantasy, or just living in imaginary circumstances. I think, who was it? The Meisner technique, like that's kind of the background where I came in, where it's who, what, where, what, the W's. But I've also been taking like a lot of cues from, and I'm sure that you've also took classes with, Crispin Freeman, where it's more of so of like, okay, what is the response that I want from the scene partner, and what do I want the Richard Horvitz? So, yeah, that's just kind of like how I tend to play a lot of the characters where it's just like, okay, what is something that I could do to make the character like just respond in living in imaginary circumstances, but being believable with
Mm-hmm.
it. And that's something that I strive to do with pretty much anything that, you know, I do, or just because I know you've also kind of had that, with the experience of getting to work with, people like Richard or Crispin and so on and so forth. And
Yeah,
on
yeah.
skills up.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I did take one-on-one coaching with Richard Horvitz. Good stuff. And I believe he also taught Crispin Freeman, so his teaching style is
Yeah,
pretty
like,
similar.
yeah, Crispin was Richard's student, and, and it's really interesting in that one, it was voice acting mastery, which huge recommend. So yeah, they kind of talk a lot about this, like the acting, like the imaginary, the who am I, and just the 5 steps. I think I still have the Richard stock somewhere. I'm just gonna have to
Hmm.
look over it, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great episode, so I highly recommend. But yeah, Richard mentor Crispin, so
Hmm.
yeah, so it's kind of like Zim mentoring Alucard or like Winston or whatever character. Like if you're watching this, Richard or Crispin, you rock. So yeah. Anyways, continue. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. So, um, yeah. Personally, okay. So yeah, I did learn. I forgot exactly which teachings I learned about in college. I'm pretty sure Adler was part of them, and I don't know. Personally, I feel like they all kind of blend together. It's good to know the fundamentals of their teaching, so like you know what to apply. But personally, okay, so I'm an INFJ, and the F is a big one, which is for feeling. And so for me, um, when I approach being creative in any kind of way, it's mostly like, how does this make me feel? Like if I'm performing, does it feel authentic? And then that's where the director comes in. If they want to like shape it into a different put me pull me in a different direction, that's their job. But for me, I like yeah, my job as a performer is just to perform authentically as possible as it is to me. So a lot of the times it's like, even though I do have those teachings in the back of my head, it's not like I refer to my notes every time I'm on a job. Um, it's more like they are fundamentals which support my choices. Um, so I feel like if anybody's having problems like trying to apply those teachings to your performance, um, just don't be so like stringent with them. Like, don't let it keep you in a box. Because I feel like if you're trying really hard to follow one technique, um, and you're having a difficult time with it, that's probably because it doesn't really resonate with you in a way that works for your personality type and your how you approach creativity. Um, so basically, to sum up what I said, it's good to know the fundamentals, but also know how you best perform and for your personality type and what it means for your creativity.
I think I've had that experience. I'm not sure if I can even talk about it, but I literally was like, in one of the projects that I ended up booking, I just kind of was like, okay, you know what? I am also about the Meisner, but I've also kind of learned a little something about just not getting into your head when it comes, like, if you're recording like different takes. And because trust me, we can all be our own worst critics. So what I do, it's I'll probably send in a take of what they're asking for, but then I'll also probably do something that is kind of a little what's the right word? It's more like something that what was something that I would want to listen to, or like something that is more like, okay, give them something that of what they're asking for, and then maybe give them something that is a little. I mean, don't stray away from the script. Like, don't completely just go off the rails, but like, just give them something that maybe that wasn't really there in the. Like, if there's a specific quirk in a character and you want to expand on that, maybe do something a little different or kind of silly, which a lot of like original like pre-lay animations kind of often do, where they highly encourage improv. That's kind of also a background that I came in, where I could just come up with something like on the fly, and that's kind of something that I did. And 9 times out of 10, those are the ones that I end up booking because I think, and it's also something that Horvitz also taught, which is having fun and just make yourself laugh. If you're
Hmm.
not making yourself laugh, then something's not right.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what I was saying about, if you're struggling with a technique, then you're not having fun because you're not being authentic to yourself because you're just thinking about the rules and whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Or just adhering or just being a slave to the copy is what they say.
yeah. So you're saying about improv and stuff and for
Yeah.
like, people watching. But yeah, in our workout groups, like when we have
Go to
when,
Skills Up, by the way.
yeah, yeah. When we like when somebody adds in their own spin on it and like you could hear maybe they're like trudging through snow or something like that and you can hear it in their voice and you're like that's a really interesting take, but they're actually using their bodies in the scene and they're not just saying the line just straight like this. So I feel like yeah, uh, when you make the scene your own and you make interesting choices that not everybody else is gonna make, that's when your audition stands out. I really want to do more of the casting director workout, but I know things are busy.
Oh, yeah, yeah. For those that are kind of not aware, like Skills Up, it's a community by Jennifer Hale, and there's a lot of many different voice actors in there. But specifically for the casting director workouts, there's a great, and I'm also gonna shout her out because she's awesome. Erin Rose Ross. Oh my God, but
Roselle?
Roselle,
Roselle?
yeah, Erin. But yeah, she often, I think she usually does those workouts, but yeah, as of recently, she's having a kid, so that probably might affect her
Yes.
schedule a little bit. But trust me, as I've had like older siblings that have had to balance work life with, their kids, and it is a lot of work, and I have to help out on a lot of the
Yeah.
babysit. So trust me, it can be pretty daunting, but it's not like, your own kid that you have to raise 24/7. So, yeah, I'm rooting for you, Aaron, but also best of luck because I know the first couple of years are going to be, those are always the hardest, but, you know, we'll see how everyone's different, so we'll see how that little journey goes. But yeah, at the end of anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the casting director stuff. So where we basically kind of like listen to different takes of everybody's auditions, and we give critique and feedback of like if this was an actual casting director just doing these, where somebody could just give a read and then another person could just give a completely different take that honestly you would not even expect, which is something that has happened to the both of us where I could kind of have something like I have an idea in mind and then either you or somebody else would just take that idea and go even further with it. And then it just kind of fuels me of just being like, huh, you know what? What I did was completely different, but I know if this was a different copy, I probably would have just taken it and just kind of ran with a different a different interpretation in mind. Like if we allow two takes, this is why there is always that magical take two, where the first take is kind of the one where, and that's actually is also something that happened to me too, where it's like I can kind of have a read where it's like it's really good, where it feels like okay, it's authentic and I'm just having fun with it, and or it could just be something completely silly, and that's kind of what gets them hooked onto it. So do something that is like, okay, just don't exactly copy somebody else, but the old saying, the what is it? Good artists borrow, but great artists or actors steal, sorta. But yeah, you could kind of learn from other students in a workout or if you're
Yeah.
taking class and
Yeah.
stuff. That's super important.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that pretty much sums it up. I did want to add something to that, but yeah, just going into that workout with the mindset of like, if I were casting director, which one of these would I pick for the role? Um, and that that also there is a great deal of subjectivity that also comes into it because like it depending on the script a lot of the times like maybe I would want to hear something that's a bit more cartoony, but somebody would have a much more grounded realistic take that would
Yeah.
sound a bit more like for live action film or something like that.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, like our own biases also come into it, but it's also really interesting to see like, okay, which one of these actually stands out, like which of these made an interesting choice. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's something that I had to learn recently just from casting oh, 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah, it's something that I had to cast recently where it's a project that I've said a few times on Twitter, but for my own project, Solomon Shrine, it's kind of more like it's definitely something that is sorta grounded, but still has some cartoony layers to it. Like, kind of think of Codename Kids Next Door or Gravity Falls or even Hey Arnold to an extent, where you have these really grounded characters, but in outlandish like situations. So that's kind of like the main basis of from my perspective as a casting, because it's something that I would want to hear from. Oh yeah, I could kind of hear this on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, but oh, maybe this isn't exactly what I picture for the character. But you know what? I might have something else in mind. So even if the take isn't really like the right take, like directors can listen to it and they'll kind of hide it in their little pocket, or a producer or even the creator will just be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I could use this person for another character. You just never know.
Yeah, exactly. Um, also going off of that, but also, hey Arnold, let me say what I was wanting to say first. Um, yeah, there's sometimes where I've auditioned for like a casting director like dozens of times, and then like something new comes in. I'm like, man, they're not gonna pick me. They've had all this time to cast me, and they didn't. And then like, why would I do another one? It's just time that I'm wasting. And then I get into it. I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. I'm having fun. If I'm not having fun, what the hell am I doing? So
Exactly.
then you turn it in, and then they cast you. And it's like, if I didn't turn that in, if I got my negativity, like let it get the better of me, I wouldn't have been in this thing. Um, but yeah, so fuck that little voice that tells you you're not good enough. Just have fun with it. Um, Also, you said Hey Arnold, and I'm just thinking, I have not seen that show in so long. Like, I'm just mostly look back on it with like nostalgia glasses. But I'm just
Yeah.
like, what an amazing show. Like, I want to watch it again. Like, that, I don't know, do they even have shows like that anymore? Like, where they show silly things, but also like the really touching, heartwarming stuff that happens in life between friends and family and neighbors.
Yeah. On the topic of Hey Arnold, because we'll also talk about media in just a minute, but yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of been binge watching that show, like in the first season, I think, since like, God, since I was like really little. So I would just have to go back and rewatch it just for, I guess, just for nostalgia goggles, but also to study like how the actors performed well. Because, and also what I really like about the show is that the kid, they actually had like actual like kids, playing a lot of the characters, and then you have the adults. So it's not like, okay, this is probably going to sound really bad, but it's not like, oh, this is an adult just very obviously as a kid, which, I mean, kudos if you could pull off a kid voice, but I think for me, like bringing back the authenticity, like we were talking about, like having actual kids just be themselves is honestly one of the most, it's far more enjoyable and much more fulfilling because you get to hear a perspective of like, yeah, because the show often goes into some pretty, I mean, it can get into some pretty dark subject matters, like, and it's all being told from a kid's point of view, which I I haven't really seen a lot of shows like, especially on Nickelodeon. I mean, well, okay. I think the closest that I've seen is like maybe Avatar, but that it kind of delves into other issues that is like, for Hey Arnold, it's kind of like, growing up in a city or like, or even in Rocco's Modern Life, where it, my God, that show is even more relevant now because it's literally about being in your 20s or 30s and just struggling, just being on your own and just going through the day-to-day life stuff like that. The shows, the more that you watch these 90s shows, the more you're just kind of like, oh my gosh, this show is definitely me. It's like you kind of laugh at the characters, like, the cartoony antics, but then when you become an adult, then it's like, oh my God, this is so accurate, it's not even funny. Like, yeah, because I know I mentioned like Hey Arnold also touches upon like, like family struggles, and yeah, trust me, you gotta watch the show in order to really get the full like experience. But yeah, just, and it also goes into like, peer pressure and hanging with bad influences, and there's so many great episodes that I could just talk about all day that really did. I think the more that I've really watched the show, the more I think to myself, it kind of really is like a show that kind of really influenced me as, I mean, not acting wise, but more like me as a writer. Like, what would the characters react? How would they get through a situation? You know what I'm saying? And then that's kind of like one of the main, like, elements of my series, Solomon Shrine, where it's, you have these kids that are just going through like a really, really, really crazy, this crazy thing that just happened to them. So how are they going to navigate it? How are they going to get through it? Are they going to cooperate, work together, relationship? So I think I kind of took a lot of that from, Arnold and Kiss Next Door, Gravity Falls, just characters going through these crazy situations, but they, their reactions, how are they gonna, you know, solve the problems? Because not everything can be solved in like 11, 20 minutes, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just rambling at this point.
Yeah. Just looking at the clock, making sure we're not gonna like suddenly get caught off or whatever. But yeah, media. I have not on. to be honest, I have not like watched a lot of the stuff that's being aired today. I think the last thing I watched was probably Steven Universe, and I'm not even sure
Oh
if you can
yeah.
say that was for
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
um, but I feel like at least I don't know. I do hear from other parents and stuff that we gotta like protect the children and stuff. And it's like you learn from these shows as a kid watching like Hey Arnold and um, about like tough topics. And I don't know, when you're exposed to that on a kid's show, it's done in a digestible way. Like, this is part of life. You might have to experience this at some point. These are how these characters are going to deal with it. Um, so I don't know. I just feel like, some kids, children should not be sheltered to what happened, like, what things that happen in life, like the death of a grandparent or a pet or racism. Because,
Boy.
like, I feel like if it's presented to them in a digestible, safe way, they will have a better way of understanding and approaching it in their own way when it does happen to them.
Yeah. One show that keeps getting recommended to me is Bluey, and I
I haven't seen it.
promise
I heard great things,
I haven't seen
but
it either. I will get to it eventually, but yeah, I think the last show that we were talking about, you mentioned Hey Arnold. I don't think we ever got a show that was like anything like it since then. I mean, maybe Steven Universe was the last one, or probably the closest that I could think of when it comes to tackling heavy subject matters. Um,
there's
I
also
mean, in a,
magic in Steven Universe, so it's a bit different.
yeah, it's different, but it's not like a more grounded, down to earth setting. I can't really think of any show that has really. I mean, it really was a unique show, but I think Steven Universe also kind of touches upon these subjects, but it does it in a much more different manner than.
Fantastical, fun way.
It's fantastic, yeah. Like we got to communicate with our feelings, and a lot of this other stuff that it
We're
goes
gonna
into.
we're gonna fuse into
We're just gonna.
a giant lady.
But hey, I mean, at least now, even over a decade later, people are still talking about it, and it does have a very large, LGBT following. So, yeah,
Yep. Okay, we got 60 seconds
yeah.
left.
I think we'll just probably close this in part two. So, this will be a part two. So, if you want to see more of us rambling, stay tuned, and yeah, we'll continue rambling about stuff because that's what we do best.
Yep.
All right. I'll see y'all in the next part coming shortly. Toodaloo. Alrighty, welcome back to the show. Well,
Last time we were talking about Steven Universe and Hey Arnold.
yeah, we were just talking about a lot of different shows and how they're still, relevant to today's, climate. But I guess when it comes to video games, that's a whole different story. So, may or may not be obvious, but I hear you're a Zelda fanatic.
Yeah, I actually have not tried the latest game because it came out. I just moved, and it came out like in the middle of that, and there was just like a whole lot of stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to play immediately. Have you tried it?
The new Zelda one?
Echoes of Wisdom, yeah.
Yeah, you get to play as Princess Zelda, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I want to check it out because I really do like the Link to the World, Link to the Past kind of overview 2D setting. So, I mean, not that
Retro.
Ocarina of Time
Yeah.
or like the 3D games are good, but I just kind of feel like simpler the better. That's
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it does. The approach to the graphics does change what kind of the gameplay and the story.
yeah. Yeah. But I've also, with video games, that's also kind of become like another avenue of storytelling where, I mean, Zelda is kind of like one of the biggest ones, but I mean, depending on which timeline it is. And same with Kingdom Hearts, but I really do think that video games are also kind of like a way to really communicate these characters and just really have them on these big adventures, or sometimes it could just be like, and I know this is kind of something that's been really that has kind of been sort of, getting how can I say this? It's been getting attention of a lot of people, but I know that a lot of video game know that a lot are more cinematic based, where the storytelling really does feel like you're watching a film. And I feel like this is a trend that has been also going on recently, where we're just getting like a lot of like psychological horror or just psychological just examinations of specifically with video games and movies and what have you. So yeah, I've been seeing a lot more of those lately. I welcome it. It it can definitely be like, yeah, you gotta approach with caution. That's all I can say when it comes to games and stuff.
Yeah. Hmm. Uh, when was the last PS5 game I played?
Oh, that's a good question, man.
I think it was Ghostwire Tokyo, which is like first-person shooter sort of game. The story. Okay, so when you say cinematic movies or cinematic video games, I feel like yeah, The Last of
Yeah,
Us definitely.
AAA
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Um, definitely AAA games are like that, and I feel like they're always like pushing for like better graphics and how realistic can we get this and but I also feel at the same time the more cinematic it is, the less hands-on gameplay you have, because most of the time you can't really change the story for those cinematic games. Um, so I don't know, it's like you're on rails, however they say it. Yeah, sure, you can like shoot zombies and stuff, but are any of your choices, do they actually mean anything? um, so as far as a storytelling medium, I feel like it does vary a lot with how interactive it can be, like how interactive the player is with the story of the game. Um, because yeah, on the one hand, with the cinematic stuff where they have like a set story that you just have to follow and play along with it. Um, you're just yeah, that's that. But like with other video games, maybe more like Persona or something. You have like a bunch of different characters that you can romance, and you can approach things in a different way. I'm not really. It's been a while since I played like Persona 5, but you can't really change the ending with those either, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, Persona has also kind of been like, it really did make like a huge resurgence like during the last few years, because we have like, what is it, Persona 3 Reloaded, and then there's 5. So yeah, it's definitely it's taking the world by storm, I can tell you that.
Oh yeah, and the Atlas just came out with a new one recently. I have
They
not been on
did.
top of video game news. Um,
Yeah,
I'm not
it's just so
ashamed.
many. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much going on, and I feel like gamers nowadays are spoiled for choice. Have you heard of the YouTube channel Daryl Talks Games? I think he changed it to something else, but
Oh yeah, that name does ring up. Isn't he the one behind those? Why doesn't their voice sound? No, I think I'm thinking of someone else. No.
no, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but like, why doesn't Zelda sound like she used to, or
Yeah, like
stuff
those
like that?
videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not that. I know what you're talking about though. I don't remember the name of the channel. Um, but he does video essays, mostly talking about like the psychology, or well, he used to talk about like the psychology behind different storytelling mediums in video games. Um, and there was one where he was, wait, what were we talking about?
Oh, we were kind of talking about like video games on psychology and. Okay, I just pulled up his channel. Yeah, video essays.
Yeah, anyway, there's something that we were talking about that reminded me of one of his videos. Um, but good stuff if you ever want to like go into, why things are, why people approach things. Um, and one of his latest videos was like about how safe rooms are sacred, and if you make them unsafe, then you've broken like an unspoken rule of video games.
Okay, yeah. Oh, because I've used to watch so many video essays, so maybe I'll check it out
Yeah,
soon.
I would recommend it. But anyway, yeah. Oh, spoiled for choice. That's what I was talking about. Yeah, he has this whole video about like his backlog and how it's like so impossible to get through it. Like it's gonna take him hundreds of years to be able to finish it, just because constantly there are new games coming out, and it's just impossible for like a human who has a full-time job and has needs that they need to make, like sleep and eating and going to the doctors and go grocery shopping and stuff like that.
Or going
um,
outside.
yeah, having a life outside that doesn't involve a screen. um, how it's just impossible to get through it anymore. So yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah. I just remembered the name. It was Thomas Game Docs behind the Why Doesn't Zelda Sound Like She Used to? Or,
Right,
those
yeah.
videos. Yeah, I just remembered the name. Yeah, but speaking of like, Zelda and everything, like because I also noticed because, the little guy you got behind you, we kind of also see him in the corner. Yeah. Behind the
Okay.
workout room. So, yeah,
This
tell us the story
is
about.
Ben. He's a paper craft. You like print him out, and then like it has a bunch of fold lines, and you glue together the seams, and then you come out with a little elegy of emptiness.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah, I just have him here in my booth. So whenever I get in calls for skills hub workouts, he's just there, just like hello,
Yeah.
hey, what's up? And sometimes like you can even hang upside down. There you go.
I think I'm gonna get a head rush out of this.
Ah, he's just a statue. He'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. I mean, look, come on. He's survived many wars in Hyrule. Hanging upside down is not the worst that'll happen to
Yeah,
him.
I
You
mean,
know,
I don't know. Would you say drowning is the worst?
don't remind me of that one stage in Ocarina. But yeah, just talk to us about, Zelda.
Okay. Let's see. So, I think my very first Zelda game was, it was on Game Boy Color.
Oh,
They made a
oh,
remake of it, which is like,
Link's Awakening?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And, the Echoes of Wisdom, it's very
Yeah,
similar. Like, it
one of
looks
the
like they
two,
use,
yeah.
very, like, similar assets. The remake, anyway. Yeah, that was, like, my very first Zelda game. And I was very, very little, so I could not understand how to play it. And I never did. So until I got the remake for Switch, and then I finished it in a day because I was like, I know how to go through Zelda now. We got this. Um, but yeah, let me see. I got mostly into it in college, and this is also when I started, like after I started voice acting. I started voice acting at the end of high school. Um, so as you know, for the older games anyway, they didn't have like full voice acting. Maybe they would have like or whatever shit.
It's a Mario time. Yeah, I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
just like little voice quips, but not like fully voiced scenes. So what I did was I added my voice to some of the scenes, and especially like Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, because those were, the more up to date games that didn't have full voice acting. So yeah, that was a fun thing. And then I don't know, yeah, yes, it's formulaic. Yes, it's kind of basically the same thing over and over. Is it fun? Yes. So it's got a huge global fan base. Um, yeah, I don't know. Does that answer that?
Yeah, um, because I've also been like I've kind of been in and out of Zelda for a while, but I have to say Link to the Past is kind of still one of my favorite video games out there. Just saying that right now. So it's just, I mean, what can I say? I mean, it is just a masterpiece. I mean, in my opinion. So yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I know I'm gonna say, oh my gosh, you like the game better than Ocarina of Time. I mean, yeah, I do. I also like Majora's Mask, but I don't know. I just like the 2D stuff. That's just, I guess 2D is kind of my jam, I guess.
Yeah, okay, Ocarina of Time was perfectly fine, but I feel like a lot
Yeah.
of people put it as their number one because they were children when they played it and they just have nostalgia classes for it.
And I'm just like, trust me, I do like Ocarina of Time. I was more of a Mario kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Majora's Mask better anyway, so.
Hey, same here. But yeah, besides Zelda, there's also Avatar, which I know you've gotten to voice in a couple of projects, which very recently I know there's this big Avatar kind of, comic that is being dubbed by a previous, I mean, it's a team of people, but I was just talking with a previous guest, Lucia, who, she's just amazing. So, love you. Hope you're doing well, but yeah, it's just kind of like the Avatar, the Search comic, I think it was. Yeah, where it's just sort of like it's a continuation of like what the original series had left off of, but it's also doing its own unique thing. And yeah, I just got to bring it up because 20th anniversary coming up. Whoop de doo.
Oh, shit.
I know. Yeah, I can't believe it's been 20 years, man. That's why I kind of brought it up earlier. But 20 years, boy. Yeah, so tell us about the project and your experience with I guess, with the franchise.
Yeah, okay. So that is the Avatar Book 4 Restoration Project.
Yeah, book
Book
four, yeah.
4 is the comic book that came out after continuing Aang and Gang's
The gang.
yeah,
Yeah.
their adventures after the defeat of Fire Lord Ozai. So you see, Aang's a little older now. He and Katara are in a committed relationship, and Toph starts her own. My gosh, is it metal bending? It's metal bending, right? Her own metal bending
Yeah,
school.
metal. I'm pretty sure it's metal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ryoma, hey Ryoma, he voices older Aang, and he put up a casting call for Penga, one of Toph's metal bending students. So I was like, this looks cool. Let's just audition for it. And I'm like, whatever. We're not going to expect anything to come out of it. But yeah, okay. So Lucia, who's like mostly in charge of the project, but also Ryoma. Anyway, Lucia was one of
Yeah.
the former voice actresses for Azula. Um, and at the time, she and some other voice actors were together in a house in. Anyway, they were all rooming together. And so I guess they were like listening to. I was friends. Or I am friends with one of her former housemates. And she was like, I don't know, I guess they were like blowing steam because like my name came up or something like that. Oh, I love Heidi. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then she was like, well, let's just see how good this Heidi is. And then she started listening to my audition. She's like, okay, she's pretty good. um, so yeah, I got pulled on as Penga. And yeah, she doesn't last for very long in the comics, though. I think I've only voiced her a few times. But I did also get pulled on as Tylee too, uh, the second Tylee, and who is, one of Azula's besties. So she has more of a role. And yeah, I've done some stuff for her too. And also, the Avatar Restoration Project does have a Patreon if anybody would like to go support it so they can continue paying their editors and composers. And they're also making some new content too. like original comics that they're also voice acting and animating and making original compositions for. So really cool project. Yeah, that's my involvement with that.
Yeah, and I think I also asked about the franchise itself.
Oh, as like the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, ooh, really good show. I feel like it's. I am pretty sure I did a watch through recently. I don't know. It still stands up really well. Like just the. I appreciate when quote unquote kids shows do not shy away from the darker topics of life, like we were saying earlier with Hey Arnold. Um, and you know, Avatar: The Last Airbender deals with topics like genocide and war and oh god, your dad is an abusive asshole and needs to be taken down. So it's a really good show, and I like it. When you start watching something and you're like, oh, this looks fun, like that's funny or whatever, and then it goes into like serious territory. And you're like, oh shit, this is real.
I still remember my jaw dropping at episode 3. This is right after you got to know the characters a little more, but I don't know if it's really a spoiler at this point. But Aang literally sees just people dead from a genocide in the 3rd episode. After you kind of got some lighthearted fun, Aang, oh my gosh, he's the last airbender, he's so cool. And then you got, showing actual skeletons in a kid show, which is, man.
Yeah,
This
well,
was episode, like I said, 3rd episode of the series.
they are 100 years old, so it's not as like gory as it could have
Yeah, but
been.
it's
Not
still
saying it
kind of
should have been,
shocking to see
but
in a Nickelodeon
yeah,
show. That's all
like
I'm saying.
oh, shit got real.
Oh,
Like
this
now
just got
I'm really
real.
into this.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, move over, adult. Not even Adult Swim, but yeah, like literally on Nickelodeon of all channels, it's like, yeah, like I know that Disney can often be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna talk about, let's just make a movie that just talks about like, I don't know, hellfire and, having an evil priest and stuff. No, we're gonna show like actual skeletons, boy. That's what we're doing here. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
And they like it's not like just a 90-minute thing, and you can be like, oh, that was nice
No,
or
it's
whatever. Like
it's
it
literally
goes
one of the,
on for like
yeah, it's
three
one of the,
seasons.
yeah, it's one of the overarching themes of the show, and I'm just like, whoa. Yeah. I
Yeah.
honestly think that Avatar as a show, it's still the best, I guess, Nicktoon or animated show that they've ever done. And trust me, like if I bring on Lucia again, we would probably just discuss why Korra is not as great. But yeah, that would be a fun episode in and of itself. But yeah, I think Phoenix Wright is also another one that has kind of been like, I mean, it's also something that I've kind of gotten into as well. So yeah, Phoenix Wright.
Yeah. Oh man, I love the Ace Attorney series. Um oh yeah, and Edgy's new game just came out, like the second part of it.
Yeah.
Previously that was only available as like a fan translated ROM. But now it's official, and I have not played it yet because money. Um,
And time.
I mean, I haven't played the official one. I did play the ROM, so whatever. Yeah. I feel like it's another thing that seems really silly and fun on the surface, and then you get deeper into it. Like even the most serious and the darkest trials still have outrageously silly moments and silly characters, and you're like, this is so silly. But yeah, it kind of funds. It draws you in with that funny aesthetic, and then shit gets real, and you're like, oh, this is dark, and I
Yeah.
love
You
it.
thought in the beginning of the series, where it's just Phoenix and Mia just about to solve a murder case, and then Mia gets murdered, so it's just Phoenix and Maya. So yeah, I mean the game. I mean, you're a lawyer having to do this type of stuff anyway, but then seeing supposed one of the main characters, you thought Mia would be like, a supporting ally, but then she gets
She
murdered.
did.
And yeah, I think everybody knows that by now because come on, even if you haven't played the games, that's kind of something everybody knows.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's like not even getting into like the second trial of the game. So yeah, I just love it when media does not pull back punches.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, it's so good. There are like two scenes in the entire series which like make me cry without fail. Every fucking time. I know it's coming. I know it hurts. And then I get to it and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, it's kind of that almost reminds me of oh my gosh, the of watching the movie Up from Pixar. It's like you know what happens in the beginning, and then just the first 10 minutes, I'm just like, oh, why would you do that?
But like
No.
sometimes you just want to hurt in a good way. And I feel like
Yeah, it hurts so good.
it's like again, like with a controlled, safe environment in which you can experience these feelings. Um,
Exactly.
and just
Bring you
like
back
leave
to
them
it.
behind
Yeah.
because it's like, it's fiction. You can just put it down and walk
Yeah.
away, but it gives you like it equips you for the necessary tools to approach life.
Ye-
Sometimes when you can't walk away from those kinds of things.
Yeah. So before we conclude for the day, I did wanted to talk a little bit about some of the work that you've been doing. I mean, besides, my own little comic dubs, because you've also worked with Phantom Savage, the Avatar, the book Restoration Crew, and you've also done like, RZ, Smite, Sharp. No, so just so many different clients over the years. And
Yeah.
what would you say is kind of like something you really enjoyed the most out of getting to work with all these people?
Uh when I'm in a call with a director, which is not always because sometimes it's self-directed, but having that collaborative process with a director, and so it was something you mentioned earlier about like approaching a line in a different way, in a way that you would want to hear it, and it's kind of like that. So you get to know the character, and they're like, okay, that was good, but I just want to try something. Um, and then we like, we explore approaching the line or the scene in a different way, and it's like it just having that creative collaborative process. um it like changes not only the performance, but like it gives like subtext to the story that wasn't there before we discussed it and decided that we were going to try a different approach to the scene. um So yeah, I don't get in calls as often as I would like, and sometimes that makes it easier for scheduling, just because we have to get everybody's schedule matched up when we're um, getting a call together. Uh, so yeah, it's easier to do it self directed, but it may not be as creatively fulfilling as working with a director and the writing team and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way where I kind of prefer collaborating with folks on different. I like talking to people, but self-directing can also be a skill that admittedly can come with its own pros and cons, but yeah,
It's
I
definitely an
yeah.
important skill to have, just because like the majority of your auditions are gonna be self-directed unless you like want to hire a casting director to coach you during it, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, you definitely need those skills to self-directing skills to be able to do your auditions.
Yeah. I guess we can also discuss a little bit about the technical stuff, like because I already know by now, but you've recently just moved, if I'm as you might have
Yeah.
probably said earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us how it's been going so far.
Well, okay, so I have a Studio Bricks and I got this like a year into the pandemic when I was like, I'm gonna take my voice acting career more seriously. This has helped so much. Not only with like the treatment of my area, but also keeping out outside noises. Um, and right now, like where I am, it's pretty close to a pretty busy freeway.
Oh,
And
oh
it's,
no. Trust me,
yeah,
I know from experience. I've lived by a freeway for many years, but I
yeah.
wasn't even doing voice acting at the time, but now I'm just in a neighborhood, which
Yeah,
is
and I don't know, I feel like I
good.
kind of have a hypersensitivity to sound, not only because I'm a voice actor, but that might have been an issue beforehand, just like little things. And so there is like the constant murmur from the freeway itself. But then because it's a freeway, there are no stops or anything like that. You got those bozos on the road who are like, oh, vroom, vroom, look at me, I'm so fast.
Lawnmower, gotta mow my
Yeah,
lawn
yeah, yeah,
early in the
lawnmower. Oh
morning, even
man,
at
but you know,
night.
it's
Yeah.
I
Or dealing with
the
noisy neighbors in an apartment or just
yeah,
anywhere.
yeah. So it helped having a Studio Bricks, a double-walled sound booth helps so much. But the one thing it can't cut out is like the bass frequency. Airplanes, cars, people upstairs stomping around.
Helicopters. Yeah.
Yeah, helicopters, lawnmowers, leaf blowers. But yeah, that it helps a lot. But then it cut depending on where you are, it does you it's not foolproof. So you do have to learn how to schedule recordings around other people's lives.
Yeah. I mean, I live with family, so I still have to schedule just right now it would be the time that I'm recording just anything. So, I think anything after like 8 or 9ish, except for if I have a specific project that needs a deadline, then I would probably go over, but either way, 7 to 8 is kind of usually my cutoff time. So you just gotta, and it also helps with discipline, like learning how to schedule, being your own manager, the boss, all the stuff you've heard before. But yeah, like man, being in a house, like, I mean, it's not really too bad, but every so often you kind of get like those pesky lawn mowers or yeah, the pets that would just dogs barking like almost nonstop, which that's always fun to deal with. So, yeah. And then you also gotta, yeah, there's also like, you gotta take care of the house and not have any bug or, any insect infestations or rodents and stuff. So that's always neat to deal with in California. But yeah, but I know that you're kind of also in the Bay, like NorCal, but here in SoCal is like ridiculous. Everywhere is expensive, not just California. So
Yeah.
just throwing that out there.
Yep, that's the economy for you. Oh boy.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, indeed. But yeah, besides the video games, the animation, you've also done a lot of like e-learning and audiobooks, which, yeah, those, especially audiobooks, man, those can be
A
quite a
marathon.
journey.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I am trying to like at least I'm like auditioning for more. Doesn't mean I'm actually booking any of them, but
Exactly. That's where I am too.
yeah, it's also another thing. Just because they're like long form, um, it does make it a bit harder when you have to like pause like every 5 minutes for some jerk to go by on the road or an airplane that's flying overhead. Yeah. But yeah, just, the storytelling process when it comes to voice acting and also, audiobooks. I've been listening to a lot more since I moved to. Um, I discovered graphic audio productions. So I just like listen to some stuff and I started another one which does have multiple narrators but is not fully produced with a full voice cast. Um, So it's just nice to have on in the background when I'm cooking or cleaning or whatever.
Yeah, and think you have representation now.
I do, yeah. Um, let's see. I've been trying to get like a bigger agent, but I also feel I've heard from like a lot of bigger, more established voice actors that getting like a big agent in like the LA area can be really difficult even when you are already established. So that's a thing that I'm just trying to accept and be like, I am still getting enough work on my own without a big LA agent. So yeah, it helps. It's really cool to see like what kind of projects you get to audition for. But yep, it's competitive, and just because you have representation doesn't mean people are going to be falling at your feet to hire you.
Exactly. Yeah. Those big LA agents, am I right?
Yep.
They, yeah. There's a lot of good ones, but yeah, competition do be fierce, man.
Yeah. Plus, even though I am in California, I am considered a remote actor just because, I mean, I could drive to LA in a day, but I would not be, I would not have enough energy to actually perform when I get there.
Yeah. I mean, the
And
traffic alone, it's.
yeah. And a lot of people are just preferring people to come in to their studios in LA, and they're like, oh, well, if you can't make it here, then bye.
Yeah. But I guess since you started VO, like, boy, it's gonna be like over close to 15-ish years, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
man.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been so long, but
I mean, there's a difference between like, oh, I'm just gonna do this for fun, and then be like, no, it's a career now. I need to invest money into it.
yeah, I'm in the big leagues, boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, since you first started and now here we are, 2024, like, how would you say that the journey has been since, getting you started like the 2000s? God, I miss those times. And here we are in like the mid 2020s.
Yeah. It's honestly not a career I thought was possible for myself. It was just like, oh, that's a thing you can do, and just like how technology has grown that we can do this from our own homes. That's really cool. Yeah, because at this point, when I was still in high school, I thought I would be a traditionally published author by now. That didn't fucking happen. But you know, you learn to pivot. You take a different path, and you're like, I think I can make this work, and you still get to be creatively fulfilled from working, but in a different way. And it's kind of hard, like looking back on your childhood dreams and telling yourself, I did not accomplish what I wanted to when I was 5, but the world has changed so much since then. And look at this. I am doing something so cool that my 5-year-old self could not have imagined was possible for me. So, just there's like a lot of brain rewiring that I had to do to like tell myself, this is actually making me money. Sitting down, like slouched in front of my computer for 12 hours a day and not making any money off of my writing, like, it's a waste of time. It's harsh, but that's the reality of it. Like, I'm not making any money from writing, so I am making money from voice acting. We got to pivot. You got to learn how to, take the wins that we do get and put things aside when, you realize it's not working out.
Yeah. Before we do close out, I don't think I've ever asked you before, but your cat, tell us a little about the little furball.
Yeah, her name is Bubbles. She was the neighbors across the street. Um, and then they got evicted and left her behind. But she let they let her roam around, and she came to our backyard, and I love her. She's my baby. I just call her baby most of the time. God, I love her. She has not like wandered in this entire time, so I like I can't just pick her up and show you.
Yeah.
um,
Well, that's kind of a win. I mean, I would love to meet her someday, but, gotta black out the distractions, am I right?
yep, yep.
But, I mean, I do love, occasional special.
Yeah, like a little fur friends just come in on a
Yeah,
call and
for
you're like,
friends,
oh
then just,
baby, there's a baby.
yeah, just wreck everything. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I guess since I only have like 10 minutes left, we'll just kind of close everything out for the
Okay.
finale. Alrighty. So stay tuned for the finale. I know this has kind of gone over, but you know what? This is a lot of fun, and I kind of blame it on myself for just being a chatterbox. But stay tuned for more, and I'll see y'all shortly. Peace. Welcome to the finale, and yeah, we've pretty much discussed everything. I don't know if because sometimes I may occasionally do like another follow up in the future, like an interview on a different day or so. So
If
I
you
don't know
get
how that's going.
Lucia on and you talk about Cora, I would love to join if that's not weird.
You know, I'll I may do like a Korra episode with other guests in the future with perhaps the Avatar restoration. We'll see how that goes,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah, it's just an idea. I don't know if it's really gonna happen anytime soon because, God, scheduling can be a nightmare.
Yeah.
But I mean, I welcome the challenge. Okay, I've done group podcast interviews, but not over Zoom. But we'll see how that goes. Anyway, yeah, just share. I don't know, just anything else that you've kind of been, up to. Just stuff that you can just that is not under NDA that you can
Hmm.
disclose at the moment. Just
Um, well, now that I'm in my own place, even though it is a bit noisy, like I do have an ASMR channel. I'm not here to plug it because I don't show my face on it, and that's a whole other thing. But anyway, it's just been nice to like be able to just sit down with my mics and be like, we're gonna have a little cooking session. So just having my own space and being like, I can cook and film it right now. Um, that's just been really nice. And that's another way of like staying creative, but without the pressures that I need to like. I have a deadline on this audition. And I need to record it now or something like. Oh look, oh I need to be at my top performance right now. It's just like no, we're gonna make some food. It's gonna be delicious, and we're gonna just have a nice, calm time together, and enjoy food because what is life if you cannot eat something that is delicious?
it's good to have a hobby.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that just helps us refuel our creative batteries when we're feeling just drained and down.
Yeah. Just like, even though it is kind of adjacent to voice acting, it's not like it doesn't have the pressure that, I'm doing this as my job. It's, more low key. And so yeah, I just think it's important to have hobbies that aren't related to your job.
Yeah, right on. Because you kind of do need that just to not think about work 24/7. Having that work life, having that balance is crucial. That's all
Absolutely.
I'll say.
Like even video games sometimes kind of feels like a job. It's like cuz I cannot turn that off the actor part of me. So I am
Oh
like
my goodness.
listening to the performances and stuff and looking at the creative choices and stuff like that. So it's like I'm not enjoying it the way I did when I was like 10.
Yeah, I think it's kind of when you really start working in the media that you grew up listening to, you kind of start being like, like it's just kind of like, critical thinking mode.
Yeah, yeah. Like, oh, that was an interesting choice. Yeah,
I've
let's,
just
yeah.
Yeah, That was not the read that I was expecting to hear, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna steal it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah, it's just,
see.
I mean,
Yeah.
overall, I still enjoy playing video games. It's just hard to turn off that part of your brain. So
Yeah.
it's just, it's different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So you want to plug in? Where can people check out the stuff? Just plug out your.
Yeah, well, you can go to my website, HeidiTabing.com. Tabbing is spelled Tabing, 1B. Also, same thing on Twitter. Also, probably Blue Sky. I haven't posted on there for a while, but you probably
Yeah,
need an
this social media. What even
update.
is Blue Sky? Yeah, I guess people are. We're just getting sick of Musk with the musky odor on Twitter.
But yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't post often on social media. If you are
Yeah,
on Skills Hub, hey, cool, let's do a workout together. I don't know. I feel like it's a more intimate group, and it's not, you don't feel the pressure to be like, look at me, I'm working. Um, like, oh, look at this project that I was in. And I'm like, no, let's just chat. Let's have fun,
yeah.
be
It feels like
people.
I'm. Yeah, it kind of feels like I'm more engaged doing the skills up, like any class or workout, than I do actually posting on social media.
Yeah, because I don't know, one feels performative, the other feels like you're just being a human being in your natural.
Exactly. Where it's like, hey, this is what I've done.
Yeah.
And then I'm just kind of like, yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just gonna be chill about it. So yeah, it is what it is.
Yep. So
Let
yeah,
me
would
s-
recommend. What is it like? Acting.skillshub.life. And
bingo.
yep.
Because we all need that life. Anyway, yeah, there's like other resources. Like there's the I Want to Be a Voice Actor by D. Bradley Baker, the voiceover voice actor book, and I mentioned Voice Acting Mastery. Talking To's with Rob Paulson is also a good one. And look, there's like a million different resources and hubs out there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are resources listed on those websites. I don't know, I could be wrong. I haven't checked those in a minute because they're always updating it. So check them out if you haven't already.
Yeah, yeah.
And any last bit of advice, final,
Um,
just anything?
let me see. I just want to be like, follow your dreams, but then my 7-year-old dreams are like, I'm gonna write a book, and what fucking whatever, the world changed. But I feel like the pandemic was a big awakening for a lot of people to be like, I'm not happy with my job. I need to do something that fulfills me more. So yeah, I don't know, just find some find out what fulfills you, and don't necessarily make that into a job, because not everybody can. Some people burn out really quickly, and then they don't love the thing that they used to love anymore. But I feel like it would help a lot to get to know yourself and find out what makes you tick, and keep doing that thing, and just find your reason for living. Like, what makes you feel alive? Um, Yep, because what's a life if it's not worth living? Please keep living.
Yep, we'll go with that. Yeah, I don't have anything, but I just want to say thank you so much for just rambling with me for like almost 2 hours.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Which is something that, I mean, I usually try my best to be like, you know what? Let's just do like 30-ish, 40 minutes, give or take. Wow. I mean, it's not like we have anything much to talk about. Oh my gosh, 2 hours have gone by. Yikes.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoopsie daisies. Well, that's on me. But would you like to do an outro for the show? And I usually do this where, just because it's like a closing little, bumper. So it's just like, hi, my name is Heidi Tabing. You might have heard me in list of projects, and this is Station Square podcast with Robert Jackson or, something like that.
All right, so this has been Heidi Tabing. You might hear me and this and that and some other thing. And thank you to our host, Robert Jackson, and thanks for listening. Yeah.
Yeah, we did it. One take
Yeah.
is always the best take.
Yeah.
And fun fact, you're also like whenever you hear like the little jingles that I use for like SoundCloud or Spotify and stuff, you might be able to listen to her voice as the presenter. So yeah,
Yeah.
I got the announcer to do like an actual episode with, which is kind of it's
Meta.
special. Meta, yeah. So this is Robert Jackson, and then I talked to the actual Theo, man.
Oh, yeah, that's
So
going to be
funny.
weird.
Yeah, I know. So, especially when we close it out, and then people can listen to you again in the outro.
And then I sound a lot more professional than I did while just speaking candidly to you here.
For sure. But yeah, any last goodbye or yeah,
uh, no, that was cool. Thanks for shooting the shit with me. That was fun.
yeah, anytime. I don't know how. I kind of forgot that this was family friendly, so I don't know how much of this is gonna get censored, or if I should just keep it raw. But we'll see. Nobody will really care. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Anyway, oh, and yeah, with two of us, thank you so much for coming to the show. And I don't know, just live your best life. God bless, and talk to y'all next time. This is Robert and Heidi signing out for today, and we'll catch you next time whenever that Cora talk will happen, Stay
Yep.
tuned for that.
Yep.
Anyways, love y'all.
Bye.
Peace. Bye.